Good morning, everyone. I'm Tabitha with Tabs on Tap. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm I'm running a little bit late, as you can see. It's kind of funny. I hope I don't get in the pattern where I'm running a little bit late every day. I had a little mishap this morning. I knocked my camera over, so I just got that fixed. Anyway, thank you so much again for joining me. But you know what? That's okay because, as I've said many times, this is a very relaxed podcast. There are no rules. We may start a little early. We might start a little bit late. We might end early. We might end a little bit late. So everything is kind of relaxed. I have, in my entire time working at various radio stations, everything has been very strict. And that's because you have a time clock. You have breaks you have to take. There's different things you have to do to stay on the clock. And it's kind of hard. They call it radio brain. It's kind of hard to get out of radio brain to where everything is so fine tuned and so on point, and you have to mind your P's and Q's, and everything has to be perfect. Well, podcasting, no rules. You just kind of go with the flow. There's no FCC regulations. There's nothing that you need to do any different. You just kind of go with the flow, and that's definitely what I've been doing here. So thank you all again for joining me. Thank you so much for those of you who sent me out the happy birthday wishes. I certainly appreciate it. And kind of a relaxing day. Didn't do a whole lot of anything, but I'm not a big birthday person, so nothing unusual there. It's Tuesday. It feels like a Monday again, but it's Tuesday. So much to talk about once again today. So many things to cover. I want to talk about Biden. Did he move out of the White House? Because there's a photo of U-Hauls in front of the White House. He gave his big farewell speech at the DNC convention. Is he gone? Wouldn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me these days. Elon Musk thinking about joining the Trump administration. We're going to get into that. I want to talk a lot today about the illegal registrations, illegals registering to vote in just about every state. The Democrats created a legal voter registration form so that people who are non-citizens can vote in a federal election. Unheard of, quite honestly, completely unheard of. We've always had the federal only ballot, and we're going to get into all that. That's something I want to talk about. Going to give you some, updates, world news updates. We have Russia, Putin has offered a safe haven to Americans to escape the liberalism that's taking over our country. Isn't that funny? Because I believe it or not, Russia has much more traditional values than we do here in the United States. So I thought that was kind of interesting, something to talk about. So many things to get to. Again, I really want to focus on the illegal votes right now. I want to talk about some Venezuelan gangs that are taking over. This has been happening for a couple of years now. And for those of you that remember with some of these Venezuelan gangs, they can come here to our country, they can commit crimes. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And of course, once we brought them into our country, Venezuela won't take them back. So we cannot deport them. What's the answer? The UK, man, we're going to talk about this. They're turning into a police state. No question about it. Opening the prisons, releasing prisoners so they can arrest citizens for posting on social media platforms. Obviously, we're going to talk about what's going on over at the DNC convention and all the free vasectomies and free abortions, all of the protests that are going on. I didn't see really any crazy violence. I saw a lot of people pulling on the barriers and doing a lot of shouting and yelling. But now, if there was more than that, then I've missed it. I didn't see anything else going on. I know the National Guard is in, but doesn't look like they're really having to do a whole lot. Good morning, Brian, Sherry, Jamie, and Allison. Thank you guys for joining me. And hopefully, you guys heard me apologize for running late. Another one of those days for me, as unfortunately sometimes happens. So anyway, there's so much to talk about today. So many things I want to get into. As usual, you guys know I like videos. I don't take breaks because mainly I don't know how. I have no idea how to take a break. But when I play my little videos, that gives me an opportunity to catch up on drinking some water so I can continue to talk for 2 hours. Tulsi Gabbard, do you guys remember We played the video from Tulsi Gabbard last week, and it was a phenomenal video where she talked about the deep state. I shared it on on my Facebook page. I shared it on Telegram yesterday. Robert Peterbow shared it, the link here on the show. But she went into great depth talking about the deep state and who's really running the country. Pretty much gave a good nod to Donald Trump as the only change. Well, do you know, because she did that, they placed her on the no-fly list. It's called, well, I shouldn't say no-fly list because she can technically still fly, but when she flies, it is technically called the Quiet Skies Terror Watch List. So Tulsi Gabbard, in retribution for her giving that interview, they placed her on the Quiet Skies Terror Watch List. I mean, didn't we kind of expect something happen? Because we obviously we have an entire Congress who knows exactly what's going on behind the scenes. They don't speak out, do they? They say absolutely nothing. And the reason why is because they fear retribution. But Tulsi took that step, she took that leap, and she gave the interview, they made the video. A lot of people have seen it, and now that's the retribution. And I have a little bit of a video here. Jay says, I'd take them back on a warship and dare them to stop me. Dottie, good morning, Dottie. All right, let's see here. I'm going to play this video really quick from Tulsi Gabbard talking about exactly what she is going through right now.
This is a clear act of political retaliation. Way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. The clear pain and real visceral hurt that comes from this is, as you mentioned, like many Americans, I enlisted because of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 to go after the Islamist terrorists who attacked us on that day, and to now have my own government now turn around and put me on a domestic terror watch list. It hits to the core and is the ultimate sense of betrayal. But we look at why they are doing this. It has a chilling effect. It sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment.
Yeah.
That we will be subject to a violation of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy through this kind of surveillance. And that's the biggest stress that's been caused by this entire situation, Laura, is now forever. I will always be looking over my shoulder.
Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that just go to show you that the government, I mean, it's political persecution. And I learned a new term yesterday, which was lawfare. I had never heard that term before. And this is exactly what this is, political persecution. Tulsi Gabbard spoke out against the deep state. Now she is on this Quiet Skies terror watch list. When she travels, when she books a flight, they have to have air marshals on board to watch her. What is happening to our country? What's happening to our government? Why is this happening? And if it can happen to her, it can certainly happen to any of us, can't it? I mean, I just can't believe it. The video that she put out, or I couldn't say the video she put out, I keep saying that. The interview she did, which was videotaped, was very revealing. It really was. If you haven't seen the video of Tulsi Gabbard talking about the deep state, and I didn't think about it. I should have played it again today, just as a reference. But, go back and look. Go back and find it. It's on my Telegram page. It's on my personal Facebook page. Take a look at it. Because if you speak out against the government, particularly if you're somebody who truly knows what's happening behind the scenes, and what she said in that video again, is she made it very clear that there is a group of people who run this country. It's not the president, that those people shift in and out. However, they are not the folks running the government. She named the Clintons, the Obamas, other people, the deep state. And that's what it is. We all know them as the shadow government, the deep state. we had a pretty good talk about it last week, and I'm really shocked that something like this can happen in 2024 here in the United States. I hope that shows everybody what direction we're going in. Because under a Harris Walls presidency, what do you think is going to happen, really? We're going to be joining the ranks of the UK. They just came out with a new plan called, oh, Operation Daylight, I believe it's called. And they are going to free 5,500 prisoners to make room for literally people they're prosecuting for what they call political crimes, for disinformation, for inciting violence, for people who are posting on social media platforms. The UK has gone as far as saying that they will come here to the United States. They will arrest Americans who are talking about the protests taking place in the UK, and they will extradite us back to the UK, and they will prosecute us as terrorists. They have threatened that to not only Elon Musk, but all of us Americans. They have threatened us. I mean, what right do they have to tell us, Americans, what we can and cannot post on social media? I hope you guys have your eyes wide open. I hope you're really paying attention, because I've been doing my best to make it as clear as I possibly can that we are losing our right of free speech very, very quickly. We are all facing political persecution. It is going to come down like a big mallet, a big hammer right on top of us. So please pay attention. Please know and please see that you are going to lose your rights. It's coming very much faster than I ever expected it to. Margie said this is sad and over dramatic. Allison, Riker Island. We're all going to be in Riker Island soon. Amy, puppet masters. That's exactly what they are. Allison, waste of resources. Brent, that's despicable. Man, what is going on? What is going on? Why aren't we demanding more from Congress? Why aren't our Congress members speaking out? We have Republican Congress members, don't we? We even have a Freedom Caucus. If you guys watched the show yesterday and you saw the video I played with General, retired General Mike Flynn, what did he talk about? He said maybe, and it's a stretch, that there might be 5 senators who actually speak the truth and aren't part of the game, who aren't part of the system of getting paid off and getting kickbacks in Congress. It's so sad. Sherry says all of Congress is compromised. Yes, they are. They are. I mean, who is out there fighting for us? I don't think anyone. I don't think anyone's fighting for us. I think we're on our own. And that's a scary thought, because man, we've got a lot to do and a lot to deal with on our hands. Man, we're going to be really busy. So keep that in mind. Mind your P's and Q's, because I'm telling you, uh, they're coming after us. For some people, if you have jobs where you could be fired over what you say online, or certain things you're worried about, custodial disputes over children, I would definitely be careful. But anyone else, you know what, man, we need to speak. We need to shout from the rooftops. We need to make it clear to the people who aren't listening, because unfortunately, the majority of Americans are not listening. They have no idea any of this is going on. Most have never seen the video of Tulsi Gabbard. Most think we're wearing our tinfoil hat if we talk about shadow governments or the deep state. It's very real. And Democrats, I hate to say it, but many of them, not all of them, many of them are completely lost. They have no idea what's going on. But I'm really wondering if there's more to what we all see. There usually is, right? There's usually more to what we see. We try to read between the lines. I do. I try to think outside of the box, and I try to watch for patterns or strange things happening. And something very strange I've been seeing lately is CNN. I don't know if you guys are seeing it. I've mentioned it on the show before, and every day I see more. Sherry says, I'll never shut up. Good for you, Sherry, because we can't. We absolutely cannot. We need to scream, shout from the rooftops, make sure everyone is aware. Amy, she said, got a new shirt. Trump 2024, too big, too rig. I would love one of those, Amy. Kathy says, Trump is the only person standing in their way, and the left doesn't care what's happening. Isn't that the truth? Adrian, most people don't realize the USA has been incorporated. No, they don't. And the corporations run the show. But I'm wondering if the corporations are going to turn against Harris. You know, I wasn't planning on getting into this now, but it makes a lot more sense to talk about it now. Harris mentioned that she would like to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. I mean, 28% is a lot because she wants to make sure that big corporations and billionaires are paying their fair share. Now, does she realize how this game is played? This game is played by, yeah, you let the corporations make the rules. The corporations make the laws. The corporations pay Congress to make sure you stay in office. Really, if you play their game, guess what? You'll be voted in. If you don't play their game, maybe not so much. But what we have to remember is that Harris and Walls are socialists. Socialists are against capitalism. Our country these days is all about power and wealth, all about capitalism. Capitalism is number one in this country, as it should be. But these corporations, we know they make the rules. We know they elect the candidates, right? Right? Selected, not elected. Well, that's the corporations doing that. And if she wants to come out with a 28% corporate tax rate, how are these people going to feel about that? And I've been really kind of trying to watch what's going on. And CNN is surprisingly seeming anti-Harris. And I think that's really odd, and I don't really know why. The only thing I can think of is that, the folks who run all of these big media companies, we all know it's the same people. Well, guess what? They're all capitalists. They absolutely believe in capitalism. Maybe not for you, but for themselves, they certainly do. They don't want to be taxed corporate tax rate of 28%. But Harris, she's got to appease the folks to the very, very far left. And those people are anti government. They are anti Democrat. They are anti Republican, anti the folks in between. They are not for independence. They are just anti government. And these people, Harris Walls, they have to appease these people. Remember, this is like the Sanders supporters on steroids, right? Allison says these corporations are not nonprofits and they raise their taxes and fix the prices. Jay says corporations will only pass that tax on to the consumer. Well, absolutely also true, Jay. That is also true. Anytime you raise corporate tax, guess what happens? They lay off staff, they lower wages, they hire less people, they decrease your 401k contributions, they make you pay more in healthcare. They talk about trickle down. The more a company has to pay, the more you pay because they will turn around and make their profit. They will not take the pay cut. And thank you, Jay, for bringing that up because that is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. That you will be paying that 28%. You think your employment taxes are high now. Wait till your employer sticks it to you a little bit further because that is exactly what's going to happen. CNN did some interviews. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch any television news. So when I see these videos, they're just coming from back channels, that I do get my news from, as well as I read the news. And sometimes I see and come across videos there. I do not watch the news. I haven't watched CNN since 9/11, quite honestly. And so I do have a couple videos though I want to play for you guys because I was shocked seeing this coming out of CNN. And I've mentioned numerous times about how CNN gave the interview to a member of the press pool who was upset with Harris. He didn't say he was upset, but it was clear by his facial expressions that he was not happy with Harris for one, evading the press pool when she went to Howard University that day last week, and two, for not giving a press conference. She still has not given a press conference. And every speech she has given is just as bad as the cackling speeches we've had in the past. Now, I haven't heard her cackling a lot. So they've probably been giving her some very serious lessons about not cackling. Good morning, Karen. Monica says, nope, shareholders still want their ROI. You better believe it. It will always hit the consumer. Absolutely. I was surprised though to see CNN. I'm not surprised to see them interview people who say, I don't like Harris. I'm going to vote for Trump. But I am surprised that they aired it. They probably have those interviews all the time and then they just delete them, right? Because they were all gung ho for Biden. So all of a sudden, I don't think they like Harris. I don't know why. And you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they like Harris. I have two little videos here of some interviews they did. I'm gonna play them. They're very quick. This one's only 16 seconds, but I think this is strange.
I see Kamala and I see our left, that it concerns me. I'm comfortable with Trump. We had 4 years of Trump. We know what Trump is. I'm not voting for him to be my Valentine. I'm not voting for him to.
That Sarkone plans to vote for. She backed Haley in the caucuses, and when we first met a year ago,
what about Browning Carmel?
Sarkone said she would vote for Biden if 2024 ended up as a 2020 rematch. But grocery prices are still high, she says, and her real estate business is slow.
I would describe myself as being resigned, I suppose, to voting for Donald Trump. Again, I can't vote for the status quo. And I was absolutely better off during Donald Trump's presidency than I am today.
Right, I say Kamala Harris, you say?
I'd say far left. I'd say woke. I'd say sidestepping. I'd say not true.
So I think that's interesting that CNN played these two interviews. And there were probably more that I didn't even see. But these two, why are they wanting to show people that Americans do not like the economy? We're not happy with the economy under Biden Harris, and how Harris is going to continue to worsen our economy. So they would like to vote for Trump. Very interesting. Adrian says she probably doesn't want too many recordings of her repeating the same speech. Yes, because we know all of her speeches are extremely, extremely rehearsed. And she does repeat the same speech over and over because once she has it down, she might as well go with it. Monica, rumors out there she has a huge drinking problem and her staff is having a hard time keeping her under control. Hence the lack of media questions and interactions. That's very possible. I think that it's been kind of a open secret, maybe, that Harris has a drinking problem. I don't have any way to confirm that. I did tell you maybe one of the first weeks I started the podcast here about how, what was it, 92% of her staff has quit when she originally started out with Biden as VP. 92% quit. And there were people who came forward and gave interviews, and I played a couple of those here if you guys can recall. And people were saying she's very difficult to work with. She's a nightmare, quite honestly. She yells at people and curses at people and is very demanding. And so most of her staff left. And I'm sure her new staff is probably not enjoying her company either. Is it because of alcohol? I don't know. But there was a person, how they have like people on the street who go out and ask people questions. There's this guy at the DNC, and he's been going out there at the DNC convention asking people all these silly questions, and some of it's kind of funny. And one of the questions he was running around asking people is if they were willing to donate money towards Harris's drinking fund. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see here. CNN may flip again. They could. Someone else said comments are scrolling fast about CNN may flip again. I'm I'm really starting to wonder what is going on, and I don't know what's happening. And Linda says, if I had to live with her past, I might start drinking. She's a loose cannon. Brent, did Obama want Michelle and got robbed in his mind by Harris? I don't know. I can only speculate. I can only offer my own opinion based on what I've seen. I don't think Obama wanted Harris in this role. I don't. I don't think any of them did. I think that they felt they had no choice. And I could be wrong. It's okay if you challenge me on that because I don't know. But I've always felt like Obama wanted Biden to continue because he was easier to control. They ran the show. They didn't really care. They don't care anymore about what Americans think. They know that we get what's going on, and they don't care because they know we can't do a darn thing about it. And I think that Biden was easier to control. Harris, I don't think she's very easy to control. I really don't think so. They had her sitting in the back, waiting her turn as VP. She's getting a paycheck. She's going about her business, living her life. She really wasn't in the spotlight. I don't think she was really doing anything. She certainly wasn't running the country for anyone who thinks she was. But I think what happened is when Biden went to Las Vegas for that rally and he had the medical emergency, if you guys recall, I played a video of the 911 call. And so we talked about the scanner. We heard the scanner talking about, not, I'm sorry, I apologize. It was not a 911 call. We played the scanner that talked about Biden and his staff trying to get medical emergency services for him. Do you guys recall that? And then the press secretary said, "Oh, it was fine. He just has COVID." I don't think he had COVID. Then we had other people come out from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department who said, yes, they thought he had a stroke, a major stroke. And then they were trying to say, well, maybe it was a TIA, a much less situation. So I think whatever happened that day in Las Vegas, they felt that that was it. They all know his condition is very delicate, and I really think they thought, okay, this is it. We don't have a choice. We've got to edge him out faster than what we thought we could. When they set him up for that debate against Trump, they knew it was over. They set it up because they wanted him to have an exit. No question about it. They didn't do that by mistake. But I don't think they expected to have to throw Harris in there. I really don't. And now that she's there, I think they're trying to just make the best of it. And by doing that, of course, they're paying people. We've talked about that many times. They're paying people to follow her social media pages. They're paying people to publicly endorse her. $10,000, according to some people we heard from a video yesterday, to endorse Harris. And maybe CNN is like, hey, we're capitalists here. We may not like Trump and Trump followers, but at the same time, do we really want full-blown socialism in our country? I mean, I hope that would be the case with CNN, but who knows? I've always thought they would be absolutely for full-blown socialism. So we'll certainly find out. But, I don't know. I don't know. I pulled up this photo. I haven't been very lucky with getting photos to load, but I'm going to try to throw the, oh, it did. Look at that. Do you see this? U-Hauls at the White House. Now, I didn't see it for myself. I heard that there were several U-Hauls that came and went from the White House, and it could be nothing. It could just be that Biden is preparing for his eventual exit and maybe taking some things. Maybe he's stealing the China like Hillary Clinton did. I don't know. But a lot of people are speculating that last night at the DNC, when he gave his farewell speech, that he's done. They want him out. And of course, we know yesterday we had the investigation about the impeachable offenses of Biden crime family, and they are a crime family, that they've taken in $27 million. Maybe he's taken his $27 million and making a run for it. I don't know. Will he be back? Is he gone? Maybe he went back to his home in Delaware. Maybe they were removing the hospice supplies and the nursing supplies that were brought in to the White House. I don't know what's going on, but there is definitely something going on, and there always is something going on that we don't know about. So much for transparency, right? We know nothing. We all just have to guess and speculate. Amy said the crowd was chanting, "Thanks, Joe." I bet they were. Adrian, you'd think the White House would have their own vans. I don't know. When former presidents have left, I don't recall them having a U-Haul. That's why I'm saying that U-Haul could be for anything. They're probably cleaning out the files of all the corruption. Who knows? But I think I have seen in the past just regular moving trucks at the White House, from what I can recall. But I don't remember. I just don't remember. And let's see here. Sheila, he's vacationing in California. Yeah, allegedly he left the DNC last night, went straight to California. Probably going to catch a plane there to make his way out of the country. He's going to go to Venezuela and in exile before he's arrested, most likely. Brent says Biden's emotion was he's out and he was angry and then sad. Of course he's angry. He doesn't, man, that guy has no idea what's going on. It's really sad, but he doesn't. Good morning, Glesna. Allison Hunter's getting his drugs out. That could be the case. Good morning, Darren. Dottie says, cue up the earthquakes. Isn't it kind of strange that we're having all these crazy earthquakes right in the middle of everything going on? And it is a little bit of a distraction, not a huge distraction. We had that 7.0, remember, earthquake just outside of the peninsula out into the ocean near Russia over the weekend. We've had several earthquakes here. I watch the earthquake map every single day. And you're going to think I'm crazy, but I absolutely believe they can control earthquakes just as much. They can't control the outcome, I don't think, of an earthquake, but I think they can start one. We know we can start one from fracking. So surely we can start one from other ways, just like they can start wildfires. Any natural disaster we have these days, the government can definitely start it. And they will, I think, if they have to. And they're probably ready to, because Elon Musk, again, in the news, as always, Trump has offered him an official position on his campaign, or I keep saying campaign staff, on his administration. So what do you think about that? And yesterday, Elon Musk accepted, he accepted, and he posted this photo, which I think is hilarious because I love Elon Musk. Take a look at this. Do you know what this means? So Elon says he's willing to serve, and it says Department of Government Efficiency, Doge. So you know that Elon's big into cryptocurrency, and Doge, of course, is where I got my start in crypto. It was the first cryptocurrency that I bought, and I bought several others based on the money that I made from Doge before all my money was stolen from Voyager. I thought this was a fantastic photo of Elon Musk. He's got the flag behind him. He's looking very professional and personable there. And of course, he's got his Doge sign out. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And Brent, I'm glad you brought that up. Will Elon Musk bring different voters to Trump? That is exactly where I was going. You can read my mind. Yes, absolutely so. Donald Trump he dove headfirst into cryptocurrency. Remember, he has the NFTs, the Trump NFTs, which sell like crazy. In fact, they're so hard to find right now. People trade them online for, thousands of dollars. I have no doubt that Elon Musk being on Trump's administration in some capacity will absolutely bring in different voters. And the Republican Party, we need young voters. And I'm going to take this another twist further, is that a lot of the people I think Elon would bring in, they are young people who would be independents. And probably a lot of people just like us, in which maybe we don't consider ourselves a Republican under what the Republicans are now, the GOP, which is very establishment. I am anti-establishment. I cannot stand the GOP. I can't stand them any more than I can stand the Democrat Party, not the people, but the folks at the top. And I don't consider myself a Republican. I can't really be an independent because the independent doesn't have enough stamina to withhold an election. An independent right now could not be elected. I think Trump is just like many of us. I call us middle of the roaders. We're all in the middle of the road. We're not over here on the right. We're really not over here on the left, the fringes of the far right, the fringes of the far left. We're in the middle, right? We're somewhere in the middle. And that's where Trump is. He's somewhere in the middle. I think Elon Musk, right there with us, somewhere in the middle. And we're anti-establishment, constitutionalists, conservatives, right? I don't call myself a Republican, a constitutional conservative, middle of the roader. But I think there's a good possibility that Elon could bring in a lot of energy into the independent party. I really do. And wouldn't it be fantastic if we had a candidate who could actually win and get donations to be an independent and become a president as an independent, man, it would change everything in this country. Everything. We always talk about wiping the slate clean. It would definitely wipe the slate clean. We would start all over. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party, those two parties and the RNC and the DNC, those are private organizations. They have nothing to do with the government. They can be abolished. Nothing to do with the Constitution. They can be abolished. We don't need either one of them. They're private organizations. We need a good independent party, a good candidate for the middle of the road who doesn't have to run as a Republican to win. So I don't want to go off on that tangent. We can do that another day. But I do think Elon Musk does bring in a new level of voters. And we need young people. We absolutely need young people because we see the young people in this country becoming further and further progressive. And then we have all of these Elon Musk followers who are space nerds. Nothing wrong with that. I mean that affectionately, who follow his SpaceX. We have people who are very involved with Tesla, young people who are really into Tesla who would follow Elon Musk. We have your QAnon people who are also very much followers of Elon Musk, young people. There's a whole group of people there that we could pull over to our side that can really change everything that we do. So let's see here. Brett says, how many American followers does Elon have that can vote? I would seriously say hundreds of thousands. That's my personal opinion, because obviously they have to be Americans. They have to be legal. There's a lot of people, in the crypto movement, in the space movement, a lot of people. Robert, ditto, constitutional conservative, sovereignty and freedom. You got it, Robert. Adrian, they should be abolished. They are the ones who chose Harris, not the people. You better believe it, they should be abolished. And we all know what happens with the Republican Party and with the Democrat Party. It's not the people, we're just the pawns. It's not the people. But they're going to do everything they can to get the illegals to vote. They are. And I think Trump is slowly winning over the Hispanic vote. So I think that the illegals, the longer they're in our country, I think the more opportunity they have to become conservatives. I think that by nature, Hispanics, Latinos are conservatives. Absolutely. A good portion of people who cross into our country illegally would be conservatives. They're Christian. They're good, traditional family people. They work hard. A lot of them owned businesses before they came here. A lot of them just care about supporting their family. I think they'd be great conservatives. But the Democrats reach them first and they tell them that if you come into this country and you want to stay in this country, you have no choice but to vote Democrat, because those Republicans will deport you or jail you just as fast as they can. And Kathy says it will be too late by then. You're probably right, Kathy. It's almost too late now. No question about it. But I don't know if you guys have seen these numbers. Man, there's a lot of people right now who are going to be voting in our 2024 election who are illegal. I know some states have what they call a federal only ballot in which illegals can vote in a presidential election. Now, legally, they cannot vote in your local election, but legally, they can vote in a presidential election. That's the loophole. A lot of people don't even know there is a federal only ballot. So make sure you take a look at that, because many states do allow federal only ballots. It's not supposed to choose a president, but they can cast their vote. What's the point if it can't choose? I don't know. But certainly the states are supposed to take those ballots off when they're counted, and then they don't. So they go into the full count. But we're losing a battle here, no question about it. We have millions of people in our country who don't belong here. And I'm not saying they're not good people and they don't contribute to our society. We have to take those people and divide them up, but somehow they all have to be vetted, right? They all have to be vetted. And then once they're vetted, then we start dividing them up, just, like you clear out your closet. You take everything in there and you examine it and you decide, okay, well, these people are going to be deported. They don't belong here. These people, we're going to fast track them into our system. They're going to become American citizens. These other people, we're not sure about them. So we're going to hold on to them. They're not going to become American citizens yet, but we're going to watch them closely. We're, whatever the system may be, we've got to have immigration reform. But there's a lot of people right now who are very unhappy about these votes coming through. Now we have an illegal voter registration. Have you seen this? Where illegals can register to vote in many states. That's new. As far as I know, that's new. I don't know anything about that happening in the past. Robert says, somebody said, it scrolled up before I could see it. I still don't understand the illegal right to vote. They shouldn't have a right to vote, but yet they do. And let's see here. Robert says, I see a significant black vote moving away from the Democrats. Their eyes have been open with the illegals getting funded, and they are not anymore. You better believe that, Robert. I've played a few videos from people within the black community who say, okay, well, we can't get a loan. A woman lost her food truck. An illegal bought it for $25,000 cash that he got from the government. Speaking of that, Robert, I'm glad you said that because I'm going to play something for you. Kathy says the number is in the millions, and they have been flown to battleground states to flip the election to the Democrats. No question. Sherry said there's plenty of evidence of fraud in the 2020. Sherry, there's so much evidence. If we saw it all, again, revolution by tomorrow morning. Allison, you cannot vet people from some countries. You absolutely, Allison, cannot vet people from some countries. And those are the people who, unfortunately, they have to go back, or we have to somehow put them in a holding place until we can figure it all out. Because I've said that before on the show, and I don't mean it. It sounds terribly racist, and I certainly don't mean it to be. It's literally just a fact. We face this, and this actually came from Homeland Security, where they said after Afghanistan, all of those people who fled, broke the gate down, fled into the airport, boarded those planes, and the planes had to hurry up and leave because they were under attack, and they flew them back here to the United States. I think it was 94,000 Afghans that came back illegally to the United States on those planes. That's a big number, isn't it? Well, they couldn't vet most of those people because they're Muslim. And again, I'm not downing Muslim. This came from a report from the Department of Homeland Security, where these people jumped on the airplane. They didn't have their documents or papers. Many of them did not. And how are you going to call the Are you going to call the Taliban and say, "Can you vet these people for me?" No. Or are you going to call war-torn Syria and say, "Can you vet these people for me?" No. There a lot of these countries, they don't have records. They don't have the same record keeping systems we do. They have no idea who these people are any more than we do. They have no idea if these people are criminals or not criminals, if they're good people, not good people. And when you have names, I kid you not, this is not me saying this. It is not a racist statement from me. This was on a report from the Department of Homeland Security where they said they had dozens of people and their names were Muhammad, and they have no way to track these people because there are thousands of people named Muhammad in Afghanistan, thousands of people in the Middle East, and they have no way to know which Muhammad is this person or that person. They're impossible. It's impossible to vet some people, so what do you do? In my opinion, you have to send them back. Unfortunately, I don't know what else to do. Kathy says illegal voter registration has been going on for the last 4 years at the very least. Figure what out? These people need to be deported. There is nothing to talk about. Well, not all of them need to be deported. I think there's some very good people in this country who really lend to what we have. I mean, I'm trying to be careful what I say, but there are jobs in the United States that Americans will not do. Vital jobs to our country, vital, that Americans will not do. And we need people here to do those jobs. I'm not saying that we should hire illegal people to do these jobs. What I'm saying is that we should figure out who they are, if they're going to be good, profitable citizens. Are they going by profitable? I mean, are they going to be contributing to their communities? Productive could be another word. Are they going to be paying taxes? So yes, profitable to our country. And then, you know what? Give them the jobs, pay them a good wage, not what people are paying them now. Pay them a good wage to do the work that Americans won't do. Because I'm sorry to say, Americans are lazy. Some Americans are lazy. If it weren't for some of the illegals we have in this country right now, our entire economy would shut down. Illegals they're driving our trucks. If they weren't, we probably wouldn't have the trucks on the road that we do. They are clearly working in our fields and working in agriculture, working in warehouses. If they didn't, our economy would collapse. So we can't just deport everybody because some of those folks we need. Allison, Saturday night at St. Clair, Missouri, officer had to shoot a 28-year-old that lunged at him after an accident. His ID was from Honduras. No question. And Allison said that was 15 miles from her farm. And Allison, I'm going to get into that because we have a lot of people here in our country who are violent. And I'm going to talk about Venezuela gangs here shortly. And I have a video to show you about that as well, about Venezuelan gangs, because they are here. They've been here for a while. We cannot deport them. A lot of these people, by the way, Venezuelans, we cannot deport them. Cannot. The country will not take them back. So what are we going to do? Fill our prisons, spend all of our tax money on housing people who are here that we don't want here. It's a bad situation. Kathy says, anyone who crossed illegally needs to go. Well, I don't agree with that. I think that we need to fast track some people, but we need to know who they are. We need to know why they're here and then make them Americans. They don't want to be Americans, then yes, they absolutely have to go. But we have to have them all, we have to have them all accountable. We need to know where all of these people are and what they're doing. But it's too late for any of that. They're spread out all across our country. It's too late for any of that. No question. And of course they're not on facial recognition. They're just now getting ready to start facial recognition at some of these border crossings now. Now, why didn't they do that a long time ago, right? Why didn't they? So, Robert, I want to play a video for you because there are a lot of people speaking out right now. We have illegals in our country who, again, are receiving all of this money from the government, and we, the Americans, we're paying for it. It's not free. There is nothing free in this country. And I have a guy here who either owns or works at a tire shop talking about illegals coming in, ordering the best tires they can because the government's paying for them.
When these illegal immigrants come in to the shop and then they're not worried about the price of the tires because they remind me that my government pays for it. So just give them the best tires that we have. And all that, and it's crazy. These people that want to vote for Kamala Harris, why would you want to vote for them? This is what's going on. Illegal immigrants are getting everything for free while you're killing yourself to pay for everything and pay for them. And I'm sick of it. I'm tired of working and working and working, and then they're coming and getting everything for free, have free cars, don't have to worry about paying for nothing.
I'm sure that makes you angry. It makes me angry. Like I said, we watched a video last week about a woman who was in tears because she worked so hard to purchase her food truck and then had to sell it, and an illegal bought it, and he laughed that the government gave him the $25,000 in cash to buy the food truck. And when Harris talks about her policies, $25,000 to new homeowners, come on now, that money is going to go right to the illegals. You are definitely, if you're a white person, you are definitely not qualifying for that first-time homebuyers program. Not going to happen. And Kathy says, if we're going to pay more for these types of jobs, then American citizens would probably do them. Kathy, I wish you're making some very good points. I wish I could agree, but there have been many studies done. And as a matter of fact, there was an experiment done where they took a group of Americans and they did attempt to pay them, a good wage to work in the fields. And all of them quit and said, no, Americans don't want to do those jobs. They just don't. I don't know why. That's I guess a subject for another day. But there's been many studies done. Americans don't want to do it. Look at how America is right now. I mean, people don't want to do anything, do they? I mean, it's easier in this country right now to quit your job, to go sit at home and eat bonbons all day, and the government's going to pay you a lot of money to do it, right? You're going to get food stamps. You're going to or SNAP, I guess they call it now. You're possibly going to get disability, because for people who don't need disability, they sure seem to get it pretty darn easily, don't they? And then the people who really need disability have to fight for years and hire attorneys and everything else. In this country, it is much easier and more profitable for you to not work. That's the way the government wants it. They want you to not work. They want to pay you to not work. And so what has happened is we have so many businesses. This isn't new. It's been happening for years. Businesses closing because they don't have enough staff. People don't want to work. And then the people who do want to work come in and they're high on drugs. They're drunk. They were hungover from being out the night before. They want to have their friends come in and hang out with them while they work. And when they're told no, that's not acceptable, they quit. They come in with their hair a mess, their clothes wrinkled. And I work in recruiting. I have for many years, and obviously I own a security company. I hire different people. I see what's going on in the world, and it's not good. People don't want to work. Now, Kathy, it didn't start with COVID. It started long before COVID. It got worse with COVID, but it started long before COVID. Long before COVID happened, I talked to a guy who owned a lumber company, and he told me he was trying to hire people to work. When I talked to him, he closed his lumber company. But what had happened, this was a long progression to get to this point. He tried very hard to hire new people. It got so bad where he raised their wages. He raised their wages up to $30 an hour. Okay, somebody did just help him out at this lumber company. Still, he had people who didn't show up, people who called in, people who called off at the last minute, people who were on drugs and couldn't do the job. And then he finally offered home and a home. There was a home that was part of that. It was like a rental house next to the lumber mill, and he offered somebody who took this job $30 an hour, and they could live in this house for free. Still, he still couldn't find anybody to work. It was still the same situation. And when you think about it, a lot of people are on drugs these days. A lot of people come to work drunk. A lot of people just don't care. And I talked to you guys yesterday about the IQ of Americans. We're 29th in the world on IQ level. I mean, we dumbed down our society a long time ago. Now we're paying the price for it. And Jay says they are lazy and entitled. That's why 16 an hour for starter jobs, and they don't even want $16 an hour for starter jobs. They don't even want that. If they're not paid $30, $35, $40 an hour, they don't want the job. And that's kids coming straight out of high school who have absolutely no skills whatsoever. Entitlement. And Monica says it all started with everyone gets a trophy. You better believe it. And now what? Now we have illegals coming in, and they're making the money, aren't they? I've told you guys many times about how these illegals are coming in. It's a 2-year plan, and companies hire them. It's the government makes has a contract with these different companies, and the company hires them. They're here for 2 years. They got to work for the company for 2 years. The company pays them the average salary they would pay anyone else, and the government doubles that salary. So illegals who are living here in our country are making twice what you make. They might be sitting next to you working, but they're double dipping. The company's paying them the same wage they're paying you, and the government's also paying them. So they're getting two salaries for doing the same work you're doing. And it is a fact. And if they do this for 2 years, then they can bring their entire family over legally, and they will receive their American citizenship. I kid you not. It is a fact. It is absolutely a fact. I talked to someone who is in this program. It is absolutely a fact. And people are sick and tired of it. I'm going to play this video for you guys. It's a veteran truck driver. And, I think a lot of us feel the same way. I'm just going to give you the earmuff warning for the bad language. But, man, I think we all feel this guy's pain.
That's enough. That's fucking enough, New York. It's fucking enough, Biden. These sons of bitches have created a non-citizen voter registration form And they passed them out to all the immigrants. So now, they completely ignore everything that we built this country on by allowing non-citizens to vote. I'm going to tell you something. When America was created, the smartest men that ever lived created a constitution, gave us our freedom as we know it, described our freedom as given to us by God, I should say. And the Constitution, when they say that there is no amendment to the Constitution that is absolute, that is a lie. Every amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can add to, but you cannot take away. And that is one thing that they just ignore. Non-citizens have no right to vote. I cannot believe that over 300, well, over 400 million now, was 364 million. But now it's over 400 million Americans. Or let me rephrase that again. There is about 380 million Americans and about 20 million foreigners that have the eligibility to vote now. And who do you think they're going to vote for? Gee, I wonder. And all those people that think Biden is so fucking great, that the government that we have now is so fucking great. How do you like being poor? How do you like having your kids with purple hair? How do you like having boys that want to be girls, girls that want to be boys, or the other ones who don't know what they are? How do you like having taxes so goddamn high that you can't afford to eat? How do you like having someone tell you what to do every single day and every single thing you do? Back in the 80s, people would say, ain't nobody telling me what to fucking do, I do what I want. Now, it's, yes sir, I'll give you my guns. I don't care if someone robs me and kills me. Oh no. Oh, those damn right-wingers are so bad, they hurt my feelings. Fuck off. Grow a pair. Men are men, girls are girls. That's it. And Joe Biden is a fucking moron.
I think he said some things that a lot of us might also agree with. Some things. I mean, that's the state where our country is in, isn't it? It's sad. I don't see any way out. I don't think we're going to be able to so easily recover from everything that's going on. And you know, Dottie made a good point. Foreign countries are voting in our elections. Yes, they are. You can't tell me all these Chinese students are here who are registering to vote are voting of their own free will. No, they're voting for who their country tells them to vote for. Absolutely true. Robert says, so the real question is, are we a country with a constitution or are we a corporation with bylaws? Well, we the people feel like we are a country with a constitution and we honor that constitution. Many of us do, but we are a corporation with bylaws. And that is why the Harris, Biden, Obama, all of these folks run the country the way that we do. Trump runs the country as if we are a country with a constitution. The other folks run us as a corporation with the bylaws. And that's why I think that we're in the situation that we are in now. And it's exactly why they will do anything without fail to stop Donald Trump. And I think we all know they will stop Donald Trump. They absolutely will, because there is no way they're going to ever allow us to have that foot in the door again. I firmly believe the only reason why Trump won to begin with is because they didn't cheat hard enough. They didn't expect us to come out in full force. And there was nothing they could do at that point. They didn't prepare well enough. Well, you can bet, you know, they've prepared well enough this time, and they prepared well enough in 2020. They certainly are prepared now. And I don't know that there's a lot we can do to stop that from happening. Brent says, we're going to have a war when they cheat in this election. Yes, if we don't have a war before then and not even have an election, something is going to happen. I think we all know something is going to happen. And I think the illegal vote goes a long way towards that. Right now, again, and Kathy says this has been around for a while. I don't know. I know we've had the federal only ballot around for quite a while now. And I know that there is some type of new, I'm going to try to get a copy of it. I know there is some type of new registration in which illegals can fill out so they can legally register to vote. Now, in the past, when we had federal only ballots, you don't have to register to cast a federal only ballot. And so I don't know if this is a new form or if it's something Biden did or if it came around before him. I don't know. I had never heard of it until recently. But here, right here, and of course, like you guys have all pointed out very clearly, it is in these swing states, the battleground states, the states that we worry about most because of course that's where they'll say, well, these states, we got them. That's exactly why all these illegals are in these states. So right now, think about these numbers. These are people registering to vote without a photo ID. Okay, so there are people registering to vote without a photo ID in these states. The general, let's see here, research shows in Texas there are 1,250,000 people registered to vote in Texas without a photo ID. And let's see here, in Arizona, I'm just going to round up. There are about 512,000 people in Arizona who are registered to vote with no photo ID. Pennsylvania, around 256,000 people have registered to vote with no photo ID. And of course, we're doing our best to try to make sure that all states honor photo ID because how do you keep people from voting? Which I realize some illegals do have they do have a photo ID. But if they have a photo ID, you can look at it. You can see, are they legal or are they not legal? I know, I've not hired illegal people before. I've had illegals apply for jobs before, and I know what their IDs look like. You can clearly see that they are not citizens of the United States. It's easy to see that. We've got to do better. We've got to do more. We've got to do more. We've got to do everything we can. As a matter of fact, we talked about that organization called, I think, what was it called? Turnoutfortrump.com, I believe it was called, turnoutfortrump.com. And they said they were going to hire people to go out and door knock and do other things for the Trump campaign. I went on the website just out of curiosity, and it is supposedly like the get out the vote type thing Democrats do, where they go around and they go door to door, they harvest ballots any way they can legally. They do it illegally. We would, of course, probably do it legally because that's how we do. And I went on the website, I filled out the information, and no one has ever contacted me. I said I was available. I would make time to get out the vote for Trump. I haven't heard anything. Now they could be overwhelmed. There could be so many people trying to help get registered voters for Donald Trump. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything back. So that's something to keep an eye on. But man, we got to do something about this. We've got to talk about these voter registrations for illegals. And of course, it would be a Democrat thing to do, right? They'll do anything they can to get a vote, and we've got to stay on top of it. So we were talking about a little bit about gangs. Let me read some comments first. Brent says, all states must have photo ID. What Josh Hawley was doing. Well, they need to, but unfortunately they don't, because in just about every state, every single state, there are ways around a photo ID. Now you might have to sign an affidavit that says, this is me. I am saying who I really am. But I mean, do some people care? There are people who commit serious crimes. Do you think they really care that they're signing an affidavit to say it's really them? Nobody looks at those affidavits later. Georgia. Remember Georgia in 2020? Their election was contested because back in Georgia, if you guys recall, the mail-in ballots, they separated them. They didn't keep them together. And so when they separated the mail-in ballots, they threw away the person who sent them in, their personal information, their address, their signature was on a different page. So the ballot had no signature to compare. And so Georgia's doing things a little bit different this year. Georgia is saying, okay, we have this number of people who are legal citizens who are registered to vote. And we're going to go through and we're going to count every single ballot to make sure that these numbers match. So let's say, I don't know how many people are in Georgia. Let's say they have 6 million registered legal citizen voters in Georgia. Well, they're going to go through their ballots and they're going to go through their poll results and they're going to say, okay, well, these two numbers better match because they're not playing around anymore over in Georgia. They want to get things right this time around. And why doesn't every state do that? Why doesn't every state require A, photo ID, B, proof of citizenship, C, go back and compare. Go back and compare. This is how many votes we got. This is how many registered legal citizens voted in our states. Let's make sure these numbers match. I mean, just like you do your checkbook, right? Why can't we do that? Sherry says Georgia said they owe Trump an apology. Yes, they do. They absolutely do. Jay says have to show ID to get a fishing license. Yes. When I bought my fishing license this year, guess what? I had to show an ID. As a matter of fact, what did I buy that? My son, I went to the store one day. My son said, hey, can you get me one of those little air cans that you use to, like a little mini compressor that blows fuzz and junk out of your keyboard? And so I was at the little self-checkout lane, because that's what you got to do these days, right? Because there's no cash registers open. And it dinged, and I didn't know why. I'm like, what did I do wrong? Did I not scan it right? The lady comes over, she goes, well, I got to see your ID. And I'm like, why? I didn't buy liquor. And she said, well, you bought that little air can, and we are required to see an ID when you buy that. I'm like, what? Which is fine. I don't care. But seriously? I mean, come on now, but you can vote in the most important thing that happens in our country, a federal election, and you can do that without an ID. It's insane. It's insane. We're going to be talking a lot about that in the coming days. Really, as a matter of fact, I wonder. It's kind of funny how the news cycle is going to go, unless we end up in some big war, which could very well happen. We're going to be talking a lot between now and the election about voting, about these different battleground states, about election fraud, election interference. A lot of that's happening. People getting paid to vote. A lot of that's happening. Illegal ballot harvesting. A lot of that's happening. And there's people who are out there, as a matter of fact, I'll throw this little tidbit in there, saying that we conservatives, we better start fighting fire with fire. We know all the tricks because we see the Democrats do them all. Maybe we need to start fighting with fire and pull some tricks out of our bag ourselves. But we don't do that. That's why we keep losing, because we don't do that. But I think things are going to transition from talking about the election. And then guess what? The election's going to happen right around the corner. November 5th is right around the corner. The days fly by so fast. It's going to be here before we know it. And then guess what we're going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about riots in the streets. And it doesn't matter who wins. We're going to be talking about violence in the streets, because there will be violence. Don't condone it. I'm not going to be part of it. But maybe. Well, we'll talk about that on Telegram. Not here. But there will be violence on the streets one way or the other. And Marjorie says, cough medicine at Walmart, self-checkout, they will flag you. Yes, that happened to me. I can't remember what I bought. It was something that I wouldn't have thought have been on any kind of list, because I don't really take a lot of medication. I don't like taking cough medicine. I don't even remember what I bought. But anyway, they came over and they did ask me for an ID. And I thought, well, that's strange. And if you buy like Sudafed these days, let's say at Walgreens, they not only will they ask you for your ID, but they put your name on the list. And then the government knows that you bought Sudafed. I mean, which is crazy, because people are making drugs all over this country, right? Who are not facing any jail time, who are just out minding their business. But if you go buy some cold medicine, you're going to be like Tulsi Gabbard and on that Quiet Skies list, which is crazy. Robert says conservatives lose because we can't compete with Santa Claus. Isn't that the truth? We definitely cannot. But maybe we need to try a little bit harder. Maybe there are things we need to do. Maybe we need better organization. As conservatives, we don't organize very well. And we just don't. We got better things to do, right? We're working. That's the problem. We're working. We're out. We're busy. We're working. We're out doing our thing. Nobody else is. Anyway, so I wanted to move on to talking about illegals, these Venezuelan gangs. We've talked about it before. It's been on the news before. But they don't really talk about it a lot now, do they? And like I've said, Venezuela will not accept our deportations. They will not. They said, we sent these folks to you. Now you've got to deal with it. They're in your country. Venezuela emptied their prisons, and their murder rate is the lowest it's ever been. Their crime rate, as a matter of fact, is the lowest it's ever been. Because guess what? All their criminals are here. They sent them all here. And for the past couple of years, they have been here in our country and they have been organizing. And there are different types of gangs. Now, one of the gangs that I'm not going to show a video about today, they're go around burglarizing homes. And what these Venezuelan gangs do is they target very wealthy homes, wealthy homeowners. They break in and they've actually broken into the homes of a lot of celebrities, a lot of very wealthy, well-known people, and have stolen millions of dollars, millions of dollars. And they continue because what do we do with these people? Yes, if we catch them, we can throw them in prison, but we can't deport them. Venezuela doesn't want them. So they have organized in one way. But you know what they've also done? There's another gang, and I'm going to show you this little video out of New York City where they are forming very violent gangs. Violent. We already have gangs in this country. We all know that. Remember the Crips and the Bloods, which are now have devolved into 1,000 different splintered gangs who also wreak havoc in our country. Well, man, the Venezuelans are pushing them out. They're taking over the drug dealing. They're taking over a lot of the criminal activity that we have seen in our urban cities. And this is crazy. This video comes out of New York City. And finally, after the 2 years that this has been going on, finally people are going to talk about it. It's taken this long for anyone. Sorry, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to find the video. Oh, it is here. It is not my day. I don't know who that lady was. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. You know how my video playing goes. I need to hire a producer to do all this for me. Here we go.
The NYPD says of the ruthless Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, which has been infiltrating the U.S. for the last 2 years. NYPD Assistant Chief of Detectives Jason Savino telling me it is believed this video was made while the gang members were in Ecuador, and its purpose is to recruit new members.
Then, when you fast forward, you see the same individuals where? In Times Square. So that's our concern.
The NYPD says Tren de Aragua has been making it over the border with the migrant influx and is getting established in New York.
What we do see is they are trying to grow.
The gang has gone from petty crimes like shoplifting and stealing cell phones and jewelry to all-out shootouts in the streets. Alleged gang member Bernardo Raul Mata recently confessing to police that gang members are being instructed to shoot police officers. Mata is charged with shooting 2 officers after they stopped him for riding a moped the wrong way on a one-way street in Queens. In court, an assistant district attorney revealing what Mata told investigators about the gang.
Tren de Aragua members are smuggling firearms into city shelters inside food delivery packages. That way they don't have to go through the metal detector.
Guns being smuggled into migrant shelters in food delivery packages that are not being screened. The gang violence is at
Sorry for that little delay. I had to run while you guys were watching that video and grab my cord because my computer almost died. So if it shut down, it was not Big Brother. It was just me because for the first time I didn't plug my laptop in today. Anyway, Venezuelan gangs, man, that's crazy, isn't it? And to think that they are instructed to shoot to kill police. I mean, aren't we facing enough problems with law enforcement? As far as the war on police that Obama created. And look how things have escalated, due to defunding police, etc. And now we have more violent gangs targeting police officers. And what are we going to do with these people? Eventually, the United States, we're going to have so many prisons and so many people in prisons. There will be nothing else left. We'll be a country full of prisons. What are we going to do with people? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Kevin says the most corrupt, dangerous gang is Washington. You better believe that. They go by the name of Democrats. That's a good one, Kevin, and you are so right. Allison says these gangs have no regard for life. No, they don't. Absolutely no regard for life. And I don't know what we're going to do. We were already in a situation already. This is not new. 4 or 5 years ago, our prisons were full. And what was happening is that we were trying very hard to build new prisons, buying schools, buying different types of buildings, trying to, turn them into prisons. What's going to happen when we have all of these gangs coming over, all of these illegals coming into our country? Where are we going to house them? Where are they going to go? I have no idea. No idea. And while we're talking about gangs, before I switch on to some other topics, think about this. When we talk about our demographics in America and how many people we have here, that number doesn't include the people who are here illegally. That just includes Americans. And we're not running out of space. There's plenty of space in our country for new people, no question about it. We have vast farmlands. Not that we want to give those up, but we're not out of space, but we're out of space for prisons. I mean, we're going to be like a giant island of prison cells. We've got to figure out something to do here. And I was just reading a story yesterday. There's really nothing, to update about it today, but I was reading that in the past 4 years, our country has created 500 new crimes. 500 things that you used to be able to do legally are now illegal. And some of them were really silly. I kind of read down the list a little bit. Really silly. We'll have to talk about that someday. When you think about that, 500 things you used to be able to do are now crimes. Some of them felonies. And that came about with the zero tolerance policies. I remember when I was growing up, I committed so many felonies. They weren't felonies then, but they are now. There were so many things I did as a kid that us kids just did because we thought it was funny, it was silly. Pranks or things that truly were harmless. No victims in these pranks. But if you did these things right now, it is a felony. It's like, where are we going? We're going to be at this state where we have lost all of our freedom to just be humans. It's very much in danger of losing everything. I can't stress that enough. I talked earlier about losing our First Amendment, the censorship that's going on in this country. Man, we're so close to losing it all. And people better wake up and pay attention because, man, it is happening. It's happening. So something else I wanted to get into is we talked earlier. If you guys didn't hear me talking earlier about Tulsi Gabbard being placed on the Quiet Skies domestic terror list, please go back and watch that part of today's show. And I'll probably talk about it on my personal Facebook page later. A retribution for her releasing the interview in which she stated very clearly that there's a deep state that runs our country, not the president. So that's the retaliation, because that's what our government does, doesn't it? We retaliate against people. Speaking of terrorism, do you guys know who Sean Ryan is? Sean Ryan he's a podcaster. He does a lot of other things as well. Well, he did some deep, deep, deep investigations into some of the things our country pays for, things that we don't know about. He uncovered that our government under Biden Harris, they're paying the Taliban $87 million a week. $87 million a week of your tax money going to the Taliban. And he uncovered this and he gave an interview about it, talked about it. I have the interview here if you guys want to take a look at it. $87 million a week to the Taliban. Now, why are we doing that? Why? What is going on? Are we paying for terrorism? Are we paying the Taliban? What are they doing with this money? We already gave them all of our military equipment. Are they going to become our next proxy? Why are we paying them $87 million a week? And then what happened is Sean Ryan ended up detailing what he found. And I believe it was Republicans passed a bill through the House to stop this funding. And now they're coming after him because Why would we be paying $87 million to terrorists? It makes no sense at all to me. No sense. So take a look at his quick video here. He will explain it for you like I cannot.
This team is not just us, but all the people that have been involved with this lead up. It looks like we're going to shut down over $1 billion of funding a year to the fucking Taliban. The government is aiding the Taliban now. And so we brought attention to that. Tim Burchett brought it to Congress and brought up the fact that, hey, we're sending $87 million a week to the fucking Taliban. He wrote a bill up, it passed the House, now it's going to the Senate. So we're making waves and we're pissing a lot of people off. And we're shutting funding down to one of the biggest terrorist organizations in the world.
Wow.
So that brings a certain amount of fear. I don't think it's any secret how corrupt our government is, and all the Boeing whistleblowers have been assassinated. I mean, they tried to assassinate Kavanaugh, the Epstein judge they tried to assassinate. I mean, it's not like I'm just a crazy, cuckoo, paranoid.
Another podcaster fearful for their life for uncovering government secrets. I could ask it 1,000 times, why are we giving the Taliban $87 million a week? I don't know. Somebody needs to answer for this, don't they? Why is this happening? I don't know. But I hope it stops. I hope that this passes. We know it passed the House. Let's hope it continues its journey and it's signed, and that this funding can stop, because I seriously cannot think in my mind any good reason we would be giving the Taliban $87 million a week. However, let's also remember the history of our country. Remember when Donald Trump dropped the mother of all bombs? Remember that? Onto the caves in Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden. Do you remember that? Well, we, the United States, we built those caves. We did that. We are the ones who put the Taliban together, no question about it. We funded them, we armed them, we equipped them, we trained them. So does it really surprise you that we're still funding them? Doesn't surprise me, not at all. Kevin says, this is not the America I grew up in. Nope. Margie says it's our money. It is absolutely our money. Robert says kickback scheme. Yeah, probably just another way of laundering money, right? We'll take this money from the American people. We'll give it to the Taliban. They'll shave off however much they want. They will take that money and they'll take some of it and they'll pay it to all of our proxies. Okay, so that would be ISIS, al-Nusra, all of these Sunni terror groups. They're going to give all of them money because those proxies are working for us in various countries to disable, to do a lot of things, to oust leaders. We know that because it happened in Syria. With ISIS, we trained members of al-Nusra. Obama called them moderate terrorists, al-Nusra. They're not moderate terrorists. They're actually real terrorists. And these people later, of course, combined with ISIS because they all interchange groups, whoever's paying the most. But some of that money, I'll bet you anything, is going to some of these Sunni terror groups who are in all of these different countries around the world, crippling their economy, creating uprisings, creating chaos around the world, because chaos makes money, right, for these people. And then the rest probably comes back into their own pockets. Think about it. That's the way of the world these days, isn't it? We pay countries, we put this money into a country's hands. Same thing's happening with Ukraine, but the situation in Ukraine is changing because Zelensky got power hungry, and we can no longer launder our money in Ukraine, because that's what was happening before, wasn't it? We were sending over all this money, all of these weapons, all of this, equipment, and the equipment was never actually arriving in Ukraine. Remember? We were sending rockets over there. The rockets were ending up on the black market and being sold. Well, then that money is given to these terror groups to create proxy wars all across the world to destabilize different parts of the country. That is the way the world works, people. And if you don't know it, man, you better wake up, because that is the way the world works. I used to be naive. I didn't understand it, but that's exactly what we're doing right now. And it is absolutely how taxpayer money ends up in the hands of the folks in Congress. Absolutely. How do you think Soros has so much money, or Obama or Biden. 27 million recently to Biden, but we know it's more than that. That's your money. It is your money. You're paying to destabilize all of these countries around the world. Bangladesh, a lot of our money recently is going to Bangladesh to destabilize Bangladesh. And now I hear it's going to India. We're going to try to destabilize India. We already destabilized Venezuela, and we could go on and on about all the countries we've done this in the past. And you guys have heard it all from me before. It makes me really angry. It really does. It makes me very angry. So, and we're just doing it again. We've got so much going on in this country right now. Look at all the destabilization that's going on right now in the Middle East. It's so bad. I kid you not that Putin has said that we in the United States, he will give us a safe space away from the liberalism that has taken over our country. I kid you not, it is absolutely true. Absolutely true. And then we have Harris. Speaking of communism, speaking of socialism, speaking of Nazis, Harris, because I talked about Ukraine, of course, the home of the Nazis. As a matter of fact, on another note, in the Ukraine, there was the BBC was playing some videos of some of the skirmishes that were going on in the Kursk region, and they were showing some of these Ukrainian troops getting on and off a helicopter and doing some other things. And then one of the guys on the BBC interview says, "What's that written on his helmet? Let's zoom in and look at that." it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was a Nazi symbol inscribed with an SS. I kid you not. So speaking of Nazis, Kamala Harris, have you heard her say the slogan, strength through joy? Have you heard that? Strength through joy. That is a 1933 Nazi slogan. I kid you not. I'm going to show it to you. If my computer cooperates, I'm going to show that to you right now. There we go. Strength through joy. Look at this. This is not a joke. I didn't make this up. Strength through joy. It is literally a 1933 German Nazi slogan. Unbelievable, isn't it? They don't even try to hide what they're doing. They don't even try to hide it. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I want you guys to take a long look at that. It is unbelievable. Jay says the military equipment left behind, I believe, was intentional. It had nothing to do with logistics. No, it was absolutely intentional. And the Taliban, as I said last week, they just had a parade through through Kabul with all of our military equipment, all of it. It's crazy. It is absolutely insane. I don't know what's going on in this world. I don't see any way out. I don't see how we're ever going to be able to fix anything. I don't get it. I think we're in a lot of trouble, and I don't think anything's going to change anytime soon. I really don't. And Putin, I think, is poking fun at us, of course, not at us, but at our leadership, to say, okay, you guys are so crazy over there. Because Russia, we've been taught, we grew up, our history has always taught us that Russia is the bad country, right? Russia's so bad. They're communists over in Russia. Now, of course, Putin has never served under communism. When he came about, communism had already ended. And then we have Ukraine. Ukraine, did you know? I'm going to look a little bit more into this. I just saw it this morning before we came on. Allegedly, Ukraine has banned Christianity. Isn't that crazy? It does make me think. I don't think we're close in this country right now to banning Christianity, but I mean, it's got to be on your mind, right? It's certainly possible. It could happen. And I'm going to look into a little bit further and see if that is the case with Ukraine. Have they? I don't know. But the situation over there is heating up. General Flynn, we talked about General Flynn yesterday. I showed 2 videos from General Flynn, videos that I loved. He made a statement last night and he said, this situation going on right now between Russia and Ukraine, it's looking a little bit scary. It's seeming like maybe we are going to end up in a full-scale war because Russia is very angry. They are blaming the United States. They have clearly said that, it is not Ukraine that is in the Kursk region or in Belgorod. It is NATO. It's NATO forces. It's the United States. It's America. It's Britain. It's France. It's all of these different countries. It is NATO. And Putin, I think he's had enough. And so he has been blasting these troops out in the Kursk and Belgorod areas. And yesterday, I was kind of surprised he did this, but he made a major strike directly into Kiev. He blew up, and I saw the video, blew up a major Army Command Center, weapons depot right there in the middle of Kiev. It was a huge explosion, many secondary explosions. And that is something you'll probably end up hearing a little bit about today on our news. The mainstream media doesn't typically cover any of this because, of course, they don't ever want you to know anything that's going on in the world because they're state-ran media. They don't want you to know what's happening. But General Flynn made a pretty interesting statement and observation when he said this is looking more like a full-scale war. There's a lot going on here, and we've really upset Russia. We've upset China. We've upset, of course, Iran. And all of these countries are coming together. Margie says, strength through joy. My lib friends are doing the joy word now. I bet they are. They are full of Kamala joy. Why, Margie? I don't know. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand anything that our country is doing right now and why we are pushing to socialism, why we are pushing war outside of money. Monica said, Germany just said they will no longer support Ukraine. That's correct. Except for just their interest payments. Germany is trying to pull their funding from Ukraine. Yeah, we talked about that. I think it was last week. Germany is pulling their support from Ukraine. You know why? As a matter of fact, they've allegedly put a target on Zelensky's head because now it's been revealed. And I've not gotten into this too much because it's kind of old news, but it's also new news. But there was a report that was discovered from Biden's office, somehow uncovered in some investigation. And it stated that we, the United States, along with Ukraine, were behind the whole Nord Stream 2 disaster. Remember that? And Germany is extremely upset about it. And they blame Zelensky for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline collapse. And so they're very upset. And so they've allegedly put a target on Zelensky's head. They will no longer support Ukraine. Germany is backing out, very upset with the U.S. as well. So that's still kind of an unfolding story. We'll see where that ends up. And, as far as the Middle East goes, again, we all expected that big retaliatory strike from Iran. Nothing's really happened. We talked a little bit yesterday about boots on the ground, Israel having Israeli troops into Lebanon. And it was kind of funny. I saw a news story late last night and it was like, gosh, it's so strange. There's all these unusual explosions going on deep into Hezbollah territory in Lebanon. I'm like, well, it's not really all that strange considering that we know, or some of us know, that Israel has troops on the ground in in Lebanon. So how is Iran going to feel about that? I haven't heard any reaction yet from anyone. I still don't really think people understand what's going on. Monica says, I'd love to see NATO disband. I would too, Monica. I would too. And I think under Trump, I don't know that he would disband NATO, but I know he wanted to withdraw from NATO. And considering we, the United States, paying all the money to the UN and all the money into NATO, I don't see how NATO could continue without us if we withdrew. I think that's part of the reason they don't want Trump back in. NATO's losing. I know you guys might get frustrated with me for saying this, but I have to say it because it's true. And one of these days, let's say it might be 10 years from now, you guys are going to look back and you're going to say, gosh, that Tabitha girl kept saying that and we all thought she was crazy, but now we see it really happened. World leaders, they don't care about meeting with Biden or Harris. Do not care. Nope. They're meeting with Putin. Yesterday, once again, Putin made his rounds. He is going around the world meeting with world leaders. They are looking to him for advice. They are consulting with Putin about their foreign policy. Not Biden, not Harris, Putin. Think about that. BRICS is on the rise. NATO, not so much. BRICS, again, and one of these days I'll go back over the statistics I talked about last week. NATO, losing, not the superpower anymore. BRICS, they control more GDP, more population. Their countries are backing their currency in gold. 159 countries coming up with their own currency to go against the US dollar. It is very much like historical. When you go back and you read history about empires have fallen, our empire has already fallen. We're on the downslope. I don't know how we can fix it without somebody like Trump or somebody like Trump. Under Harris, we're going to continue the downslide, and we're no longer the superpower. We still have a great military, no question about it. One of the best militaries still in the world, but other countries are catching up to us. China, they have more military members than we do. They're certainly very quickly building up their weapons, their missiles, their defense systems. We're getting left behind because all of our money is going $87 million a week to the Taliban. All of our money is not being spent where it needs to be spent. I don't know. Again, I'm going to keep saying, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know where we're going to go, but things do not look good at all. In the meantime, we are still supporting Israel. We are still, our government is very complex. Like someone said yesterday, Harris, Biden, they are anti-Israel. I absolutely believe, I don't know about Biden as much. I don't think Biden knows where he stands or what he's doing. We know Harris is anti-Israel. Joe Adams says the United States has lost all our strategic respect. Yes, Joe, and you know more than anyone does. Man, our empire has fallen. It is falling. I don't know how we can fix that. Maybe with Trump, he can build things back up. I think world leaders would meet with Trump. They don't care what Biden has to say. They don't care what Harris has to say. Putin's the new leader. He's the new superpower. So people better get that into their heads. But in the meantime, Antony Blinken, I want to play the statement for you because things are, I think, and Joe, I can't wait to talk. Joe Adams with the Washington Guard will be joining us tomorrow morning. And I can't wait to talk to you, Joe. And I hope we can talk a little bit about where we're heading in the Middle East. I know there's things that Joe's involved in that he can't tell us. So I understand if he can't talk about it, but I'm hoping we can. Because Antony Blinken released a statement, and we have pledged full support to Israel all along, publicly. That has not wavered. We have always said that. But things are starting to heat up between Russia and Ukraine, between Lebanon and Israel. And what's going to happen while we continue to support the war and the situations that are going on between all of these countries, because we never mind our business, do we? Never can mind our business. Monica says, Nostradamus talks about the eagle falling. Monica, I didn't know that, and it just gave me chills thinking about it. I'm going to look that up, or if you have it, please send it to me. So I'm going to play this little video here with Antony Blinken because he is going to show us our unwavering support of Israel.
Two main goals. The first is to reaffirm the commitment of the United States to Israel's security. That's a commitment that we put into practice virtually every day since October 7th, including when Israel was attacked directly by Iran back in April. In recent weeks, given the heightened tensions, we have deployed additional assets to the region. The purpose of the deployment of these assets is not to provoke aggression, but rather to deter it, to make sure that it doesn't happen. But also to make clear that if it does, we are fully prepared to defend Israel. We've coupled this effort with an intense diplomatic campaign, virtually a global diplomatic campaign, working with countries around the world to send the message strongly to every concerned party not to take any steps that would escalate tensions, that would risk provoking a wider conflict. And this, too, has been something we've been working on from day one, since October 7th. It's been one of our primary objectives, to prevent the conflict from escalating, from spreading to other places. And so this coupling of our military commitments, our security commitments, with an intense diplomatic campaign is something that I'm pursuing on this trip, again, with the intent of making sure that we deter further conflict, but that we're also clearly prepared to defend against it if it comes. But what's most crucial now is that everyone refrain from taking any actions that could fuel further conflict, escalate tensions, and result in the spreading of violence and conflict.
And then literally 30 minutes after that happened, we had we had Israel in, of course, deep inside of Lebanon striking Hezbollah infrastructure. And again, there's, allegedly 200,000 Hezbollah fighters. That's quite a battle on their hands. Jay says, we have urged restraint and a ceasefire in Israel, but never, not once, have they tried these same ideas in Ukraine. Absolutely so. Kim, he's a joke. He is a joke. He is a joke. I wish somebody would come out and just say, you know what? We are the United States. We're going to mind our own business like Switzerland does, right? We're just going to stay out of it. You guys figure it out because you're never going to have peace. And we are tired of our troops, our sons and daughters being killed in war that really has nothing to do with us. But it does have something to do with us, doesn't it? I mean, we know that, like I said yesterday, Harris, Obama, these people are all anti-Israel. They're all anti-Israel. But publicly, we're going to come out and give this statement that, yes, we support Israel. We're wholeheartedly behind you. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to send our troops over if that's what we need to do to protect you, Israel. However, we're also going to give all this money to the Taliban, who is your enemy. We're going to give all this money to Hamas, who is your enemy. We're going to give money to Iran, who can give it to Hezbollah, who is your enemy. It's a crazy conflict of interest now, isn't it? We certainly do need to respect and protect Israel because they have every right to be a country. However, we also have to think about the people who are living in the Gaza area, and we need a ceasefire, don't we? We need the killing to stop on all sides. How about we all just stop killing people? Wouldn't that be simpler? We just all stop killing people. Every country just halt what you're doing and quit killing people. That's never going to happen. And still the standstill between Israel and Hamas continues. Israel said they are more than willing to work out a ceasefire. We talked a little bit about this yesterday. However, Israel says they will only agree to a ceasefire if they can continue to occupy the Gaza Strip. They want to make sure they have their troops stationed around the border, particularly in the Palestinian region. They don't want those people to leave. They want to make sure that and that's because they're fearful. They don't want Hamas to get another attack through, understandably. But of course, we have the people in the Palestinian region in the Gaza Strip who say, we will not agree to a Israeli occupation. We won't agree to it. So we're still at a standstill. I don't think anything's going to happen. It's unfortunate that people make money off of war, off of death. And that's where we stand in a country. They make money off of death, the death of all of us pawns who mean absolutely nothing to them. We're all just collateral damage. And don't tell me that the people of Israel are not also pawns and also the victims of collateral damage, because they absolutely are. Same with the people, the Palestinians, collateral damage, pawns to the government. All of us are. I don't care where you are. Jay says a ceasefire only benefits Hamas. I think it benefits humanity. I'm always about humanity. People have to stop killing other people. It's really that simple. Don't kill anyone. Put your weapons down and stop killing people. That's not going to happen because there's still oil to conquer and gold and all kinds of other minerals, right? War will never end. There will never be peace. So we might as well get used to that. It's just a matter of time before we here in our own country, that we're right in the midst of it. We're all so naive. We all say nothing will ever happen in our country. We'll never have boots on the ground here. We'll never have rockets attacking us in our own homes. Don't be so naive, because new weapons are being created all the time. All the time. We have nuclear subs that can come very close to our, into our waters around our coastlines. Don't be naive that something can happen. And we don't even talk about the weapons in space. I feel silly every time I say that, but there are weapons in space. There are absolutely weapons in space. There's a whole war going on up there that none of us even know about. and something we'll have to talk about someday, Space Force and what's taking place, because there are weapons in space. So don't be so naive to think that we can't get attacked in our own country. We've got to start thinking about what our country is doing to us, and not for us, because they're not doing a darn thing for us. Brent says in Gaza yesterday, they were swimming at the beach enjoying themselves. That's the picture the media never shows. Also true, Brent, a lot like what you saw in Syria. In Syria, do you remember? That's when I think things really started turning for me, when I watched, and why I stopped watching news, because the coverage of over what happened in Syria is a lot like what you see the coverage in Gaza, and that is, let's say Aleppo as an example. In Syria, there's an East Aleppo and a West Aleppo. So East Aleppo is where all the reporters were. Was the stronghold of ISIS and a lot of other terror groups. And so the East Aleppo was being bombarded nonstop. So if you watch CNN back then, CNN played these videos nonstop of all of these white hats who are actually terrorists. Back then they called them rescuers, and that these people were going into these buildings that were bombed out, and they were rescuing innocent children, women, bringing people out. It showed this complete area of devastation. There was nothing left in this region. Why? Because that is where the terrorists were killing people. They killed most of the citizens there and then moved in. And the longer story, how that began. And then in West Aleppo, 3 blocks away from where the reporters were sitting, people were walking around wearing jeans and letting their hair flow, sitting in nightclubs, you know, sitting in hookah bars, smoking, that is, not hookers, hookah. And life was going on. People were shopping and dining and going to the beaches. You really have to be careful how you watch news and what you see and the videos that you see. And Brent, I'm glad you brought that up, because it is absolutely so true that the media shows you what they want you to see. And the media, of course, is very pro Palestine, anti Israel. They don't always want to tell you that, but they are. So they are going to show you that. And the same goes for what happened in Syria. It really opened my eyes to see what was going on. And once your eyes are open, they never close. Anyway, we are running out of time. I know I started a little bit late today. A couple things I wanted to throw in before we go, just some little items that I have here. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is the highest rate it's ever been since 2017 right now. Highest rate since 2017, because people are struggling. The struggle is real. People are struggling. And I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. I think things are going to get far worse before they get better, aren't they? And we said that, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they are worse. And it has not gotten better. And I don't see it getting better anytime soon. Some other little PSAs I wanted to get into: safety. I've seen a couple of announcements lately that are kind of strange, but I wanted to bring it up because it could happen, especially if you live in Illinois. I've not really heard it so much about Missouri, but it could be happening there as well. If you go to your mailbox and you find a dryer sheet in your mailbox, do not touch it. Contact police, because there are groups going around. I don't know who they are. Are they illegals? Are they gangs, bad guys, pedophiles, rapists? I don't even know. And I didn't hear one way or the other who is doing it. But somehow people are coming around to people's mailboxes and they're putting in dryer sheets in the mailbox. And when you touch the dryer sheets, it has a substance on it. I don't know what substance. The news report didn't say. Is it fentanyl? Is it something else? Whatever it might be, it will cause you to pass out. And then people will take advantage of you. They will rob your home. They could potentially harm you. So if you see a dryer sheet in your mailbox, call your local police. Do not touch it. Do not take it out. Don't think it's just some silly kids playing games, because it could actually be very serious. That was one of the things I read that's going on. Another thing, and you guys may have heard this, it was happening in North Carolina. Now I'm hearing it happening in other states. I don't know who these people are. From what I understand, authorities have not come across this group. They haven't made any arrests. They don't know anything more about it than we do. There are groups of people going around asking people for their DNA. Have you guys heard about this? It's been happening in North Carolina. These people will go door to door, or they're approaching people in parking lots, And they're telling them, hey, if you will use this swab so we can get your DNA, we'll pay you $100. And of course, people are doing it because people are stupid. And what they're doing with these, with their DNA, nobody knows. No one knows. Donna says some people put dryer sheets in their mailbox to keep wasps away. Well, that's okay. If you put a dryer sheet in your own mailbox to keep a wasp away, that's perfectly fine. But if you open your mailbox and you see a dryer sheet and you didn't put it there, then please make sure you call someone and have that looked into. And if somebody approaches you and offers to pay you for your DNA, just say no. Do not do it. Do not give anyone your DNA. I don't know what they're doing with your DNA, but I can only imagine because somebody in the video that I watched talked about, well, they could be using it to stage a crime scene. They could be storing it in some kind of DNA database. Who knows? I don't know. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more information on that. It seems very odd. And the healthcare company that this group was telling people, they say, hey, I work for such and such healthcare company. We're just out, we're looking for DNA samples to do, testing on or something. People give them their DNA. Well, some of these people looked up the name of this company and called the company. And the company said, we have no idea what you're talking about. We do not have anyone out asking people for DNA, paying for DNA. So these days, you just don't know what people are up to. You really don't. So always be aware of your surroundings. Always know what's going on around you. And if anyone approaches you with anything that just doesn't make sense, always say no and then leave the area. And then, you know what? Most importantly, when you leave the area, remember how they say if you see something, say something. Always contact your local police. Always. I'll be on social media and I'll read a post where this just happened recently, by the way. Some woman said, oh, I was out driving in the country and there was a car that was following me and they were honking and flashing their lights and trying to get me to pull over. And I drove around my block and they followed me. And then finally I lost them and went home. People are like, well, did you call police? No. Why? Why wouldn't you call police? Because if they didn't get you as the victim, they're going to go find someone else. If you find a dryer sheet, it's not just happening to you, it's happening to someone else. If anything happens to you that you think is odd, always be safe rather than sorry. I can't tell you how many cases I have read about in which someone had attempted to abduct someone and the attempt failed. Something went wrong, whatever it might be. And then they later went on to successfully abduct someone and murder them. So please always make sure you contact law enforcement. I can guarantee you, your local police department, they are not going to think you're a crazy. They're not going to think it's a waste of time. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to look into it. And then at least if there is another victim, you did your part. So please, anything out of the ordinary happens, always, always, always call. Don't ever think it's a waste of time. Always call. So on that note, that's about all I have to say for today. I want to make sure if you guys have anything else to say, I've had a lot of comments on the comment line. Please text me 314-546-2677. Again, Friday, I'm going to be talking about things you want to talk about. No topic off limits. Just let me know ahead of time. I'll make sure I add it to the list tomorrow. Don't forget Colonel Joe Adams, Washington Guard, joining us at 8 a.m. I cannot wait to talk to Colonel Joe Adams because, man, we need him. We need the Washington Guard more than ever because, man, things are going to get crazy between now and November 5th and even more so after November 5th. And, better to be safe than sorry. Hopefully nothing happens. But I think we all know it's coming. Alice says postal workers could be harmed. Absolutely. Donna says they can easily get DNA from garbage, and they do, don't they, Donna? If they want your DNA, trust me, they will get it. Donna says also watch out for swoop and squat on the road. They try to make you run into them. Oh yeah, there's been countless reports of people, being in the roadways and waiting for you to drive up. And when you stop and get out of your car, they're either going to harm you or they're definitely taking your car. There's so many, isn't it terrible that we have to worry about all that stuff these days? Man, it's crazy. There's so many things going on in this country. It is crazy. So be careful. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel as always. Look forward to talking to you guys all tomorrow. Again, Colonel Joe Adams joining us 8 a.m. And would love to hear from you guys on the text line 314-546-2677. I hope all of you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. If you like the show, share the show. Don't forget, got